Since this month we're going to be working on the precepts, and we've already discussed, and you read last month, about how the whole purpose of Reiki practice is to purify the kokoro. I just want to talk a little bit, only purely from my own experience, about what that means for me. Because I'm some years into this practice, I'm starting to have experiences, maybe you'll have them sooner than me or faster than me, but mine came the slow way, that now when I sit face to face with a client, because I'm in the present moment, because I'm doing the Reiki meditation, so my tanden, my Seika tanden is big, and I have no more judgments about people, and I'm not carrying as much baggage as I used to. When I sit with people now, I see things about them. I recognize them almost instantly. I see their pain, I see their suffering. I just see it with my eyes, the thing inside of them that they're carrying that's causing their problem. And it happens so effortlessly now. And I've only realized recently that it's because of the purification that's happened over the years. Through the precepts, through the Reiki meditation, through treatments. Every time I do a treatment, I get cleaned. The results are paying off. In that I can be with almost anyone in any situation and not react, not respond, but that's not what I really wanted to talk about. What I really want to talk about is the miraculous. So it's been happening more and more over the last few years that a client will come in for the session and say, well, when I booked this, I was really in a lot of whatever it was, pain or suffering of some kind. And as soon as I booked the appointment, I felt the Reiki start coming to me. And I've heard it enough now to know, and by the way, that's not me doing anything. Or people will say, I'll just think of somebody, and they'll text me 10 minutes later, are you sending me Reiki? I feel so much Reiki coming to me. I'm not sending them Reiki, I just thought about them. And, I've had a lot of discussions like this over the years. Like, people will ask, do I have to draw the symbols? Do I really have to say the sound? And the answer is, yeah, you do, until you don't. But when that don't is, for me, it was 25 years before I could invoke the symbols without drawing them. Because there is a power in the drawing. There's a power in the visualization. There's a power in the sound. So there are different levels of practice. Phyllis Furumoto, who you've all seen her photo, it was on my wall for a long time. She was the Takata's granddaughter and Takata's lineage bearer. Phyllis always talked about the 4 aspects of Reiki practice. We teach it in first degree as a healing practice, hands-on healing. So in first degree, you learn how to treat yourself, you learn how to use your hands to treat other people. And what's true at one level is not always true at another level. So you had asked in a previous class why I said in first degree, it doesn't matter what you think, it doesn't matter, if your thoughts are good or your thoughts are bad, because at that level it doesn't matter. But as you progress in your practice, what you think has a big effect on better is to say what you don't think has a big effect on the treatment. So the first level is hands-on healing practice. And at that level, you can never hurt anyone with Reiki. You can never do anything wrong, really, because you're just touching. The body will turn off when it doesn't want any more Reiki. It will draw a lot when it wants a lot, and you're not really in control. But in level 2, that changes, because in level 2, you have the ability to change thinking and patterns with the mental treatment. You have the ability to reach across time and space. So suddenly there's a lot of ethical issues and ethical boundaries that have to be enforced. And you have the potential to put thoughts into people that are, not something they want. You have the potential to, for example, send distance treatments to someone who doesn't want it and violate their personal space. What was true at level 1 isn't true at level 2. And so level 2, we usually think of people moving into personal development, because that seems to be what happens to students who practice level 2 a lot, is they start growing, they start changing, especially if they're doing the precepts regularly. Their mind starts changing. If they're doing a lot of self-treatment, their things about them start to grow because they come up against their deepest pain or their deepest obstacle, and it usually starts to lift. And then there comes a point, and I think it's this program for you guys, the students who get more serious. We call, in Japanese, they call it Shimpiden, the secret teachings. It's the next level, and it's the place where people move into what I would call spiritual development. Phyllis called it spiritual development. Through a Reiki path. Of course, there's different ways of spiritual development. Reiki is only one. And many people on the Reiki path never reach spiritual development. They don't have to, or they have another way. But when you use Reiki intensely and you're doing the meditation, you're doing the precepts regularly to control the mind, you will absolutely start to have spiritual experiences. So, for example, I tell someone I'm going to send them a distance treatment, and I forget. But I wake up in the morning and there's texts, like 10 texts. Oh my God, I can't believe how much I felt last night, and so much energy flowed, and today I woke up and my problem's gone. I didn't send them Reiki. I fell asleep. I forgot, It happens. And somehow the Reiki goes anyway. Or I think of somebody and they feel like they're receiving Reiki. Or clients say, I felt the Reiki as soon as I booked the appointment with you. This is a kind of, something I don't really have an easy answer for. But it's happening more and more. There's also another thing that will start happening as you move into the spiritual level of Reiki, which is that, John was really like this. I think there's a fourth level I haven't mentioned yet, but if you just walked into the room with him, just being in the room with him, you've probably all been with some kind of spiritual teacher who had this kind of power. Being in the room with him, everyone would start going through their deepest pain, their deepest emotions would come up. And by the end of the day, they'd leave a different person just from being in the room with him. He never had to touch you. Because he had reached sort of the fourth level. We don't have a good name for it. Phyllis called it mystic order. Mystic because, it's unknowable. It's unexplainable unless you're at that level. And people who are at that level will never talk about it. But, they reach a level where the magic happens through them. And for me, it's the lineage that has been responsible for most of that. Because I think as I've used the precepts to calm my mind and steady my mind, as I've used the Reiki meditation to expand my hara, my tanden, my energy body, what flows through me now is the blessings of the lineage. I also, as I step aside and realize I'm not doing anything, I'm truly not doing anything in a Reiki treatment except having the patience to sit and put my hands on people. As my ego has detached completely from that process, or, I don't know, probably never detached completely until you're enlightened, but a lot more than it used to. I'm detached from it. There's no effort. And so what can come through me is almost a miraculous level of blessings. At times, at moments, on the good days. For certain people, it just comes through and I'm not doing it. I'm not doing anything. And that is really, the reason I'm saying this is not about me. It's what I think is the aspiration. Because everyone who does Reiki has the aspiration of wanting to help others. You wouldn't be here if you didn't want to help. The kind of people who show up for Reiki are helpers, healers. And that's the promise. And I think that's what Usui's signature is on the precepts. For me, that is his signed and sealed promise. That if you do this practice, miraculous things will come through you. Once you learn to step aside and not let it be you that it comes through. It just comes. And it will come when you're sitting face to face with people. Often people are sitting in the chair talking to me. And they'll say, I feel like I have 100 hands on me. It's not me. I'm not touching them. I'm drinking my soda and, eating a cookie while they cry about their problems. It's the blessings. It's really a blessing. There's a power. There's a power to bless. And I don't have to do it. Sometimes I do feel like I'm doing something, but most of the time it's just coming through me. And it's what I ask for. It's what I actually aspire to, is to not be the one to do it. It's too much work. It's too much work. Just come through me, Usui, and make it happen. And through years of that aspiration, it does. I think the other thing that's really been profound for me is the Reiki meditation. You've all done it. Have you done the Reiki meditation where we give Reiki, compassionately give Reiki to the world? Have you done the Reiki meditation where we choose the person who's hurt us most and hold them in front of us? So part of the Reiki meditation practice, as John taught it, and I haven't seen the Japanese teachers doing this, is that in the first phase, Joshin Kokyuho, we're breathing the light in to purify ourselves and expand the kokoro, or the seika tanden, the lower tanden. But in the second phase of the meditation, John always called it generation of compassion. That his way was, you always visualize the person who had hurt you most, or the person you were most mad at, or a person who was really mad at you that you felt ashamed of. You have them sit in a chair 3 feet in front of you. He said, if they're your friend, always have them sit behind you. But if they're your enemy, if they've hurt you, have them sit 3 feet in front of you so you can see them. You have to keep your eyes on them. And you visualize expanding the Reiki light out from your tanden with each breath, filling the space between you and them with light until the Reiki light radiates out of you far enough to completely surround them and fill them with light. It's not exactly a forgiveness, like Melania was talking about forgiving them. It's just filling them with light until there is no difference between the molecules that make up them and the molecules that make up you. And what happens from that is not that you heal the pain you have from them, but you start to realize that you and them are just one. There is no more you and there is no more them at a certain point. And so, again, like I said before, I think it's not that you heal them, it's that you heal yourself. You heal your perception of separation. And as that happens more and more, judgment dissolves. There is no more judgment, because now I look at every person, even the people I like. It makes it hard to date, because you look at people and you see all their pain and suffering, and you realize no matter how perfect they look, this is just another suffering person. And one day we're all going to be, old with walkers and then dead in the ground, and that's all there is. Really, that's all there is. So what am I going to get upset about? What am I going to fall in love with? Because it's all just human stuff, and there's no difference really at that level between me and you. We're the same. That makes it, that I think is the fertile ground for the blessings to come through, because I'm not holding a difference anymore. There's not me needing to heal you or you wanting me to give you something. It's just a way of being in my mind with people where I realize, wait, is it in my mind or out of my mind? I'm definitely out of my mind. It's a way of holding my perception when I'm with people, where I just see them completely for who they are, including seeing all of the ways in which they think they're not who they are. Most people don't see themselves at all in the right way, for who they truly are. Most people have totally images inside of their minds of who they are that trap them in something that's not really there. It's like being trapped in a self-imposed prison. And somehow, by seeing them without the walls of their prison, it seems to set them free. And it's not that I'm doing anything. It's just that my eyes shift into a different way of being with them, where I don't see the walls of their prison anymore. And then all the problems fall away, and they'll come back 3 weeks later and say, oh my God, you told me a story about your other client, and I tried it, and my life changed. So this is why we purify the kokoro, because as you do, your insides will change. Your way of being present with other people will change, and it's the presence that actually allows the Reiki to flow in a torrential way. If you're trying to fix them, if you're trying to help them, and of course I said this even in your first degree class, if you're putting in effort, you're only blocking the flow of the blessings that can come through you. So really, really focus this month in your treatments on stepping aside. In the Reiju, if you've seen me or Mark do the initiations, we always bow to the masters first, and we say, Usui, Hayashi, Takada, John Gray, please be with us for this Reiki initiation. And we invite them to come in and give the initiation through us. And it doesn't always work. Some days it is just me doing it. But the moments when Usui appears, it's often Usui or Takada, the energy in the room is crazy, and 3 people start crying, and like, they don't know why, but I feel this like burst of heat, and I start sweating, and I have to take off my sweater, and the masters come. And when the masters come, the blessings are just beyond anything I could produce. I can produce some energy, but so much more can come through me when I just stop trying and they do it. And that's what I aim for. And I don't always get there, but more and more, that's what's happening. So there's a reason we're doing these practices. There's a goal for doing these practices. You will help so many more people when you stop trying to help, and when you stop trying to do, and when you become pure enough inside just to allow it to flow through you. So it's a kind of hard thing to accept, that there's nothing inside of you that's going to help anyone. I mean that in a kind way. No amount of doing is really going to change much of anything, because we live in a world of doing, and things just get worse and worse the more people do. So if you're able to, try to really think as you're giving your treatments this month, as you're talking to potential clients, I'm not the doer. It's not me who's going to do it. And invite the masters.
We were talking about the precepts. What I thought about was the epiphany I had in Reiki 1 was that I don't need to use my energy. And I thought, wow, because I said, no, I don't do this because I get tired. So we are true conduits. So when I started thinking about the conversation about the Reiki precepts, the reason we keep coming back to just for today, just for now, is to like clear that space, even just for a second, so that we're just a conduit. There's nothing left in there. So that's what.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's why we're doing it. So this is what I'm trying to get to. It's that, I don't think yours is going to take 30 years to develop. I'm just a slow learner. It took me a long time to understand the special gifts that my teacher gave me. Because not every Reiki lineage is going to take people down this path. In most of the Reiki lineages today, they say, oh, just put your hands anywhere. Reiki will do what, go where it needs to go. Which is certainly not true. They don't have mental treatment. Most lineages have forgotten the mental treatment. They don't know scanning. We have a much more advanced system of scanning. In Japan, they just do byosen, which is the flat-handed scanning I showed you in class. You've all taken or seen the videos about the scanning. So this is one way. John also developed with the fingertips, chakra scanning, aura scanning, because he found that many people couldn't follow byosen. But most lineages have forgotten scanning. They've forgotten a lot of the parts of the Reiki treatment. A lot of teachers don't teach mental treatment because they either didn't learn how to do it. Many lineages today just say, oh, just draw the mental symbol and that'll do all the work. You don't have to do anything else. Because they've forgotten the teaching. Or, at some point along the line, a teacher was afraid to teach it because it seemed like a lot of responsibility to go into people's heads. So they just stopped teaching it. And so our lineage is one of the last ones that actually preserves the mental treatment. Of course, unless you go back to Japanese sources. And then even the name for it in Japanese makes very clear exactly what it is. And they haven't forgotten how to do it in Japan. But it's a system. What you're inheriting is a full and complete system. And all the parts of the system work together. It's like a recipe. So when you take something out of the recipe, you're still going to make something, but it's not going to be the same something without all the ingredients. So this month is about the Reiki Precepts, and the goal of the Reiki Precepts to be in the present moment. And the purpose for being in the present moment is so that miracles can come through you at some point. And I heard that from a few people already. You mentioned sort of semi-miraculous things happening. And it's said in Japan that Usui went to a Zen monastery for three years before he climbed Mount Kurama and meditated with the Zen. We were debating on the mountain because from Mount Kurama you can see Hiezan. And there's a second village. There's a village next to Hiezan called Ohara, which is all the Zen temples are in Ohara. And there's 2 roads. One goes to Hiezan, one goes to Ohara. So like, did he come from the Tendai temple on Hiezan, or did he come on the road from Ohara, from the Zen monastery? Nobody knows. We'll never know. I don't think. So he was registered at a Jodo Shu temple. Because in Japan in those days, everyone had to register at their local temple, like signing up for voting or whatever. You have to register in your district. What I'm trying to say is, all month while you work on your treatments, try to move into this space. Just know that this space exists where you can completely step aside and be completely present, and look at the client you're talking to, even if it's over the phone, with different eyes. Not your mind, not your judgment, not your opinions, not the way you normally see people, not your intuition. I have to say, by the way, in this practice, intuition is the worst enemy. You don't want to use your own intuition, because your intuition lives in here. And when you're in there, you're not present. Shut off your intuition. Be present. I talked to you before in level 2 about almost breathing the person into yourself, what we call whole body listening. As I'm talking to them, I make the connection third eye to third eye, throat to throat, heart to heart, and then I inhale them into my own body. And I just try to feel them inside of myself. I try to be completely present with them as they're presenting to me. And I try hard not to use my intuition. Because in a way it can give good information, but it also comes from me. It's effort. Intuition is interference in this particular aspect of practice of being completely present. It's not coming from intuition.
I was working on a woman, and I do love this clavicle position, like after you do the throat.
I love it too.
It's huge because, and I ended up staying there a really long time because she went deep. And I said, I'm not interrupting this moment because this is the moment. To me, that's the sweet spot. That's where you want the person to get to, is total relaxation. And it must have been about 8 minutes that I stayed there. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to move along. And she was like, okay. And she, when she left, she was like, okay. It was kind of brilliant, but that's what you're talking about, right? It's just having that's not your intuition. That's the Reiki telling you, just stay there. The person's telling you.
Communion, meaning union, coming together.
Right.
Being one with. Communion is being one with someone else. And that it happens in the treatment, where the boundary between you and them and the masters and the life they could have or should have or want to have, it just dissolves. There's no more boundary. People talk about the proverbial layers of the onion. And it is like that. There's always more. There's always another. Oh, I guess someday maybe there won't be another layer, but it'll be a while before we get there. But also, in a way, as the outer layers fall away, it gets easier. The transformation is easier because we're not holding on to as much. The baggage gets lighter. So you'll know on a trip, if you open up your bag and take out 4 or 5 things before you go on the trip, it's a lot easier to go. I just went to Japan with way too much luggage, and I wish I'd taken some things out. But in my life, I've taken a lot of things out. And I also look at my life and think, yeah, it could have been different. I had 3 or 4 different lives that were really possible for me in this life. And, I chose. I chose to be on a path of healing, to be on a path of an open heart, which is not something most men do, where that is the core of my path. And that made me weird and different from other people. And I accept it completely. But I often think it could have been different. It could have been different. Would have been different. Should have been different. But here I am. So I like where I am. So I don't mind it. But it makes it weird because I'm around other people and I realize I'm like. That's why I always joke about making a Weirdos t-shirt, or you've joined the Weirdos Club. It's you realize the more you grow, other people are not. They're really not growing. For every 1 step I take, for every 100 steps I take, they take 1. And that's the level of growth that most people have. So when you're on this path, it's just an escalation and things go faster. And John used to say, a year in the life of a Reiki master is purifying 100 lifetimes of karma. So we talked before about escalation of karma, acceleration of karma. It seems to be true. But also it doesn't hurt as much because you're detached from the suffering if you're able to use the precepts to stay in the present. You don't suffer. Yeah.
Reiki effects immediately. Totally out of curiosity, are these clients that have met up with you before?
No, it's usually new people I've never seen before.
Wow. Well, that's yeah. Okay. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is it a higher self then? Or is it from your higher self to their higher self? Or is it just Reiki?
I think it's just the blessings flowing through.
Of Reiki?
Yeah, they connect to the stream of blessings when they make the appointment with me. It's not because of anything I did.
Mm-hmm.
They're choosing to connect to it. I think that also that's what happens as you do Reiki for a while and you really get established in your lineage and the blessings of your lineage, it draws the right people to you. It draws the people who have a connection to that lineage. I get so many people who, while they're on the table, will have like a vision of Usui or something. And I realize just from hearing them, oh, this person must have known Usui in a past life, or they must have gotten Reiki in Japan a long time ago, or something like that. You know, it just becomes clear there's something more happening than just a random stranger showing up at my office. So people who have and I see it among students too. Certain students have a very clear connection to the lineage, even though they don't know it. And when I'm with them, different things happen than with other students who don't have the same connection.
When you guys have done, when I've had initiations of Reijus, even after you've moved on from me, I felt that there was a presence doing something else to me.
Yes. I think it's for most of the people who are in this program, you are each people I saw a master or one or more masters standing with in your Reiju.
And so this also comes to something else interesting that I've been feeling lately when people are working directly on me. I felt this both with Margot and with Edmund. They've moved on from a place, or they've already done chokery
But the
or
hands
whatever.
are still there.
No, this is different. So, or like you do the opening spiral. I feel they're not there and they're not doing something, but I feel somebody's hands in the air doing like symbols over me.
Good. That's a great sign.
Okie doke.
That's a great sign, the blessings of the lineage masters. It happens so much with clients that I'll be working on someone, especially if they really have a serious problem or they're very sick or something, and I'll become aware of other hands touching them. And I'll realize, sometimes it's Usui, sometimes it's Takata. Once or twice I've seen John, but mostly Usui and Takata. Maybe I don't know why. I don't know why exactly, but Usui and Takata are the ones I see the most. And I'll see them with their hands on the client, doing Reiki on them, or holding their hands in the air above them. Usui I see a lot like this. I don't know, kind of, the Hindus have a name for it, Abhasya or something. It's like a blessing position, and I see Usui doing this a lot. Though you don't see this in Japan. People don't do this, but to like bless people. But I see Usui doing it with clients. So, and I actually do things to try to keep those spirits out of my room because I don't want them here. I want to just do Reiki. So that was my choice. You each get to make your own choice. A lot of you do mediumship. I've actually had a few experiences with a client where I had no idea how to help them. I don't even know how to say this. It sounds so weird, but a few times I've fallen into a kind of place inside of myself where I see a kind of department store of all my past lives and all the different healers I've been in past lives. And I just ask the healer that knows how to work with this situation, please come and help this person. And I had like some kind of miraculous experiences with that too. And I guess those are not the blessings of the lineage. That's like some past life thing. So now I remembered the thing I wanted to talk about. But talking about mystic order. So this fourth aspect, I told you the four aspects. We start with healing practice. If you do it long enough, it turns into personal development. If you do that long enough, eventually it starts to become a spiritual practice. And if you do the spiritual practice of Reiki long enough, you will eventually start to experience mystic order. Mystic order is a horrible name for it, but no one can think of a better name, so we just call it that. Maybe you'll find a better name for it. Where, to answer your question, Yuriko, it happens a lot when I'm doing the Reiki meditation or when I'm in the middle of giving Reiju to a student, that I become aware not of dead people, but other Reiki masters in the world. When I'm connected to the light of Reiki, I can see other people who are connected to it the same way a computer connected to a network can see all the other computers on the network. The light becomes a connection between us. And most of the world is not plugged into that light, but I can see the people who are. And that started as a kind of shocking experience for me 4 or 5 years ago. I'd be giving Reiju and I'd suddenly see a stranger in the room, not one of the masters. I'm used to seeing the masters in the room, or a few of them. I'm not used to seeing random strangers in my room, and I would suddenly realize I'm not in my room. I'm actually in someone else's Reiki office, and I can see Usui's photo on the wall, and I hear people talking in a different language. And I realize because that master at that moment is giving Reiju, and I'm giving Reiju, somehow we make this unknown connection through the ethers, through the light that we're connected to. And that is a shocking and luminously brilliant experience, blindingly bright sometimes. And one day I met somebody. I met one of the people who I'd been seeing in my Reiju for months. I went to a conference in Uruguay, and there she was. I was face to face with this woman. I'd been in her Reiki office in the Netherlands dozens of times doing Reiki, and there she was. I was like, oh my god! And there's another person I was seeing all the time in Reiki, and it turns out that was her master.
Oh, cool.
So as soon as I knew her, then her master's face appeared on my Facebook page. You know, it's like people you may know.
Yeah.
And I clicked on it, and I could see a photo of the two of them together, and I called her and said, oh my god, do you know this person? Blah, blah, blah. I've been seeing her for months too. So it's amazing how that happens. So yeah, Mystic Order is a weird name. It's not a great name, but it's trying to express this fourth aspect where we start to become one. When we're in that, when I'm in Reiju, I'm the clearest I could ever be. I'm the clearest version of me, or the not me that exists. Because there is no more me when I'm doing Reiju. I'm just light for a very short time. And when there's 10 people in a row, it might be for 30 minutes. But for that time, there's not Brian anymore. There's not much of me there. There's still, I could still know who I am, but I'm not acting out of me. The light's coming through me. So that's a special experience, yeah.